Here, FlipAnythingUSA. So, just kind of a teachable moment here. One of the things, once you start getting, more active as an investor, and you start acquiring more and more property, and especially like commercial, industrial, office type buildings, it's a whole different world for borrowing than it is when you're borrowing residentially. The money is so much easier to borrow. The math is so much simpler. They don't even really look at your credit score so much as they just look at your credit history. As far as, give you an example. I've borrowed, many millions of dollars now, and when I do, it's easier for me to borrow to buy a commercial building that costs a few $1 million than it is for me to borrow money to buy a $200,000 house, because there's so much regulation that goes on a residential property. In fact, you'll see the last couple of houses I bought, I paid cash for them, quite simply because it would take me longer to get a loan residentially than it would take me to it's just way more hassle than it's worth. I mean, I can go borrow money on my name. I can just get a line of credit, or I can get money anywhere easier than I can applying for a regular residential home loan. And I know many of you have already been through that hassle where they keep needing one more thing. Well, it's funny, even when you have a high net worth, they still have to put you through all that same rigmarole for even a small little investment that's very small compared to where you are financially. So anyways, it's just funny, but there's some if you have lates, when you're getting a residential loan, you get penalized if the points wise, if they show you've been late on a light bill or an electric bill. Well, I've got tons of that stuff on my record, and it's not because I'm irresponsible, but when you own multiple apartment building units and commercial units and things like that, utilities will go into your name automatically as the landlord when somebody vacates. And then when somebody comes back in, they turn it on, and they'll make mistakes and they miss bill all the time. Utility companies are terrible, at least in the parts and places that I've dealt with. And so ultimately things will get paid late, or they send it to they'll send the bill to the actual unit instead of sending it to my corporate office where they're supposed to send it. And as a result, it looks bad on my credit. I got a demerit for paying electric bill 90 days late or whatever, and or sometimes I've had a dispute on some medical bills that I didn't like that I was being billed for, and I'm not going to pay them. I'm never going to pay them because I didn't like what happened. And my commercial bankers, they don't care. They're just like, yeah, we don't care about that stuff. What they care about is how much money in the bank. Does he pay back the big mortgages as agreed, which I do? That's the difference. And where you get into residential, they look at your, also they have to look at every return. And when you have a lot of property like I do, held in multiple entities, they need to see and understand the books for each and every one of those entities. You guys remember, if you've been watching me a while, I had a pile, probably 14, 15 inches thick of my tax returns on just my partnerships. There probably was 20 tax returns there. And they would have to look at every one of those to give me a $200,000 loan. And that wouldn't matter, even if I had $400,000 in the bank and I wanted to borrow the money. They'd still want to look at all that and still have to go through all this, process. So anyways, it just letting you know, it gets easier. It gets easier. But even on the residential end, it's almost, you still have to go through all the hoops if you're going to borrow money. That's why generally I'd rather get the money privately, or just use my own cash and pay cash for a house than mess with going through a loan today. And it's funny, in the good old days, back in the 80s, you could buy a property, they called it a non-qualifying loan. And basically, if you put 25% down, you just got the loan. It was that simple. It was called a 25% non-qualifying loan. And so all the banks offered them. And basically, as long as you had 25% to put down on the home you wanted to buy, there was no qualifying. They call it a no qualifier. And you just put your 25%, boom, you got the loan. And they can do things quick. Not anymore. That's over with. In fact, I called a banker over at Wells Fargo, and I was asking him, I said, hey, what kind of loan package? And he said, oh, Tom, he goes, we talked before. I didn't remember. He said, it'll take you forever to get a loan just because of all the tax returns you have. So anyways, just thought I'd share that. Somebody wrote something. Let me see what. As a new investor, is it easier to obtain financing for commercial versus residential? I think it's easier. I still, even think if you're a brand new investor, if you've got the money to put 25% down on a commercial building, if you're buying a commercial building as an owner occupant, it'll be even easier. If you say, hey, I'm going to occupy 50% of the building, and you're putting 25% down to buy it, you'll get the loan just like that, much quicker. They'll still have to do an appraisal, and that'll cost a few $1,000s, but that's just kind of the normal thing. But it'll go much faster than a home loan. That I am sure of. And if you're established, once you get established, it's even easier. It's just even easier. Although once in a while, when they got to go, once in a while, like I had a bank change. Wachovia was bought by Wells Fargo, or I think Wachovia went under, was absorbed by them. And there was a whole new layer of bureaucracy when that happened. So there was some things that had to be dealt with then. But anyways, the reason I mentioned this is because I'm on my way to go sign papers for a loan, and it was just a breeze. It was just a phone call. It was so much easier. And this is right after going through the conversation I had with a residential lender. And anyways, so anyhow, that's all. I just wanted to share that. And be sure to get my app. The app is in the Google store. If you have Android, you can go get the app right now. And already got a bunch of nice reviews. Already got somebody said they made $50 on a referral. So I thought that was pretty cool. But anyways, the FlipAnything app, you can go to, like I say, just go to the Google Play Store, and you can get it up for Android right now. And you'll also be able to get it in iOS at the App Store as well. It's close, man. It's actually ready. I could open it up. It's going to happen soon. We had a little minor thing I had to consider for the UK. The UK, they have more digits in their phone numbers, so we had to make an allowance for that. But just keep an eye on. I'll make it a video and announce it really soon, I promise. So I'll let you guys go because I'm just about here. So thanks. And please comment, share, subscribe. Please put the word out on that app. Please share it. If you go into other YouTube sites where investors are, please share it. It's free. Even the mentors in these sites, the few that I've talked to, are saying they dig it because now they can have their the students that they're mentoring forward them their properties that they're looking at. So yeah, please share it out. Thanks a lot.